Welcome, my name is Diablo68 and this is Gaming Existence, the channel where we go over everything to do with games. Today we're looking at the deck building board game Tyrants of the Underdark. It combines deck building into strategy on a board, so let's get into it. Tyrants is pretty standard when it comes to deck builders. You start with 10 cards in your deck. 3 of those, these soldier cards, are used for placing additional troops and for killing opponents' troops on the board. The rest are simply used for purchasing additional cards to put into your deck. Each turn you'll draw 5 cards, and these cards will represent the actions you can take. The sword and shield combat symbol on the soldier card is for placing troops. The web symbol is for purchasing additional cards. Generally that's what you start with, and you would go to the market area where the standard deck builder, you have 6 random cards come down of which you can purchase, and if you don't like any of those cards, you can purchase one of the standard cards on the board. Purchased cards are put into your discard pile, ready to be drawn later. Now when it actually comes to placing additional troops on the board, each of these combat symbols represents one troop you can place down, and you can place it in your sphere of influence, basically attached to where you are. If you had 3 of the same combat symbols, rather than placing 3 troops, you could kill an opponent's troop or one of the white troops. Now you do actually get powered up cards as well, such as the Etin, where you can deploy additional troops which don't count as your combat symbols, or you can just remove white troops. So for example here we're destroying 2 white troops, and then these white troops go into your trophy hall where they count as victory points later on. You can play cards in any order, and in this example we've used the Etin to clear out this top area so that then we can deploy 3 troops to take control of the area. If you have the majority people in the area, you get the token that is associated with it. On the standard side, which I'm going to show you in a second, this means each of your turns you effectively have 1 additional money when you go to the marketplace. If you have complete control, all 3 people, you get this side and you get an additional victory point at the end of each turn. The board is quite easy to set up, and they've done quite a good thing of making it so if you've got less than 4 players, you can use this dashed sort of pink line. And what that does is the fact that if you're playing with 3 players, you choose which side of the board you're not going to use, or if you're playing with 2 players, you only play in the middle. Setup is quite simple. If you see these crossed sword symbols, that's where you place the basic minion troops that the board game has, rather than the actual players. You place those down on the board. You then set up the market deck as well. So you choose 2 different market decks. The game comes with 4 that you can choose from, and you can mix and match whichever ones you want to do. Those are shuffled together and they're placed on the market deck. And this is a separate board, and it's really easy to use. You have a stack of house cards, house guards, which you put down there, Priestess of Loth, which you put down, and Insane Outcasts. You then also do the same, as I say, with the shuffled market deck, which is then placed down. Deal out the 6 cards face up along the top of the market deck, and then you're ready to go with the market section. And then you've got the board set up once you've got all the white troops put down. Each player then selects a colour, chooses a board, and takes all the relevant pieces that go with it. And each player, to start the game, places just a single troop in any of the black locations around the board. And then the game is pretty much ready to go from then. You get your standard 10 cards, which you've already gone over, which is then placed on your board with the deck section, shuffled and placed there. You have all of your troops ready, and you're ready to start the game. The game is a lot of fun because there are lots of different strategies you can take and do, so you can change your playstyle to what you want to achieve. And it's really quite interesting how you have the deck builder side where you're manipulating your deck, making it better to do things, but then you actually see the reward of that on the board. How you actually take a turn and you do far more than one of your opponents because you've thinned your deck down and you've made it so you've got better actions and you've stuck to a theme. It then makes it really interesting. Some deck builders, it feels like you're not really rewarded for actually making a better deck. The actual victory condition feels a bit lackluster. Whereas in Tyrants, you do stuff and it affects the board, and you then can really see the benefits if you've done. The games for 4 players is somewhere between 40 minutes and an hour. Nice and short, you can get a couple games in. It's really fun to keep going through. One of the really nice additions I like in this game is the promote ability. Now, like most deck builders, there's some kind of trashing mechanic. It's called Devour in Tyrants, and that just blows up a card from your hand or in the market, something like this. But the promote is really interesting. Now, we know deck building, thinning your deck is really good. Promote takes a card out of your deck and puts it in a separate place where you can score additional points. Now, if we look on this card, you can see the first number, 5, is the victory points if it's in your deck, 10 if it's been promoted out of your deck. So it gives you really interesting choice about when to promote your powerful cards to get those additional points. Really interesting way that they've done it. There are certain cards which will give you additional victory points depending on what you've done, so you can try and theme your gameplay or your style around that. For example, this one, promoting cards out of your deck, you gain additional points. It just gives you an additional way of gaining victory points, different types of win conditions. Also, the game's got kobolds. Love kobolds. Why would you not want to play a game with kobolds in it? Just kobolds are great. Love kobolds. There are quite a few different win conditions in the game. For example, if we look at orange down here, he's controlled lots of different sort of territories, which then give additional gold, but also victory points each turn. So if we then look at their victory point pile, they have a large victory points, so we know they're doing quite well with that. Whereas if we compare this to black, black has only got a few victory points, not many sort of special sites, but lots of these other individual sites which are giving him additional victory points and plus additional victory points for total control at the end. Whereas if we look at blue, blue's got a large amount of killed troops in the trophy hall, which is all worth additional victory points at the end of the game. And then if we look at red, lots of cards in its inner circle when it's promoted, lots of additional points. Gives you lots of different ways to try and win the game, lots of different things that you can do, and that really adds to the strategy and different play styles that you can go through, keeping it fresh. The game is really well polished and there's not a lot bad to say about it. One thing I would say is the market deck can stagnate. It would be nice if there was a refresh mechanic, just one card was pushed off each turn and a new one came down. My play group tend to sort of spite each other and just leave rubbish cards rather than give somebody else an opportunity. One thing that is really good, the promote, I think that is just genius what they've done. That is really good, a really interesting mechanic, really, really good. So, super quick conclusion for Tyrants, and I would say if you want a deck builder with a twist, with strategy, which is fun and quick to play, this is definitely the one to pick up. It's really interesting. It's got, promote is nice and different. It's got nice interaction between different players. You can drop spies down, which I haven't even mentioned, which then spreads your sphere of influence. Really good game. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see similar videos of deck builder reviews, then follow the links on the page right now for Thunderstone and for Legend Encounters Alien. I've also got top 5 deck builder games, which is well worth a look. And as always, if you'd like to see similar content to this in the future, simply click the subscribe button at the bottom. Thanks for watching.